In the world of tech titans, two names stand out: Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. Both have been immensely successful. But when it comes to presentations, Steve Jobs always crushed Bill Gates. Let's explore how. Steve Jobs was a master storyteller. He didn't just present products, he painted a picture of the future. His presentations were theatrical, emotional, and unforgettable. Do you remember when he unveiled the first iPhone in 2007? He said, Today
Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
And guess what happened? The room erupts. Gates, on the other hand, was more technical. His presentations were informative, but they lacked the showmanship of Jobs. He focused on facts and figures, not on inspiring the audience. Who simply needs the facts? People want to be entertained. They want to be wowed. The information is valuable. No doubt I have watched so many Bill Gates presentations, but the delivery has been dry. Apart from his one presentation, when he was talking about malaria at TED Talks, rest of the presentations, they lacked pizzazz.
An iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it? These are not three separate devices. This is one device.
Let's have a look here. The difference is clear. Jobs connects with the audience on a deeper level. He makes them believe in his vision.
Let's experience the world of Windows 95.
Gates, while brilliant, struggles to capture the same magic. So don't be stiff in your presentations. Learn this from Steve Jobs. Learn the art of showmanship. Do not bore your audience. Boredom is the biggest presentation killer. In most of his talks, Steve Jobs gave us something to remember. Design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. Stay hungry. Stay foolish. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. And there are so many things to remember. Steve Jobs' legacy lives on. His presentations continue to inspire and motivate us. He showed us that technology can be more than just functional. It can be beautiful, meaningful, and life-changing. But hang on, is that it? No. Stay tuned, because we are going to dig deeper into Steve Jobs' presentation style. Enjoy. Millions of presentations are delivered every day on this planet Earth, and most of the presentations, surprisingly, are boring. Presenters, they don't even realize that people are not actually listening to them, or perhaps they're pretending to listen. So how to deliver effective presentations, how to deliver like Steve Jobs, because I consider him one of the greatest corporate presenters. His presentations were interesting, awe-inspiring, especially 2007 iPhone presentation. So let's see how he started this presentation. 2007 iPhone.
Today, we're introducing three revolutionary products of this class. The first one is a widescreen.
You see what he said in the beginning? Today, we are introducing three things. And where, on the other hand, most of the presenters, good morning, good afternoon, hi, how are you doing? No, jump into the action, because your listeners, they're always thinking, what's in it for me? Especially in this world, in the modern world where everybody's distracted, they're always thinking, what's in it for me? And they're looking for the reasons for not listening to you. So give them a reason in the beginning from your first sentence that they should be listening to you. Give them something super interesting.
Widescreen iPod with touch controls.
Three products.
The second is a revolutionary mobile phone.
Never forget that you gotta jump into the action immediately from your first sentence.
And the third is a breakthrough internet communications device. So, three things.
Three things.
A widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device. An iPod.
This is going to be one of the best starts. People had no idea back then when they were sitting that they are going to witness such a wonderful start of the presentation. It's not over yet.
A phone. And an internet communicator. An iPod. A phone. Are you getting it? These are not three separate devices. This is one device. And we are calling it iPhone.
Wow, man. I have watched this video like hundreds of times and still I'm feeling the goosebumps. This is called a powerful start because they say what generally starts well ends well. So you're going to work on your start first. You should be starting in a way so that you could grab attention. Somehow you have to figure out something to grab the attention of your audience. Do not lose them in first 5, 10, 15 seconds by saying the cliched things. Good morning, good afternoon. All these things can come later. So work upon your start. Now, let's move to the second section of our video. And here we are going to observe a different video by Carmine Gallo. Let's see how he has deciphered Steve Jobs' presentations.
Anyone who has watched a Steve Jobs keynote will tell you he is one of the most extraordinary speakers in corporate America.
Who does the best job of that in the world?
While most presenters simply convey information, Jobs inspires.
He's right. Most presenters simply convey information. They come, they read out the boring slides, and they go back. Nobody gives a dime. So you have to inspire your audience. You have to inform them in a way so that they could listen to you. And you know, you have to think it like a harpoon to bait and catch a fish. So as a presenter, you have to create some harpoon so that you could bait and catch the fish.
I'm Carmine Gallo, and today I'll walk you through several key techniques that Steve Jobs uses to electrify his audience. They're elements you can adopt in your very next presentation.
Welcome to Macworld 2008. We've got some great stuff for you. There's clearly something in the air today.
Clearly something in the air today. Again, a good start. Something in the air today. Make your listeners curious.
Hey.
With those words, Jobs opened Macworld 2008, setting the theme for his presentation and hinting at the major announcement of the day, the launch of the ultra-thin MacBook Air. Whether it's a new notebook or the iPhone, Jobs unveils a single headline that sets the theme.
Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
Set the theme with a single headline in the beginning. If you have no idea what to do with your start, at least you can set the theme with one single headline.
Once you identify a theme, make sure it's clear and consistent throughout the presentation.
Right.
Think of a staff meeting as a presentation. So let's say you're a sales manager introducing a new software tool to help your team generate, track, and share sales leads. You might kick off your meeting this way. Good morning. Thanks for coming. I know you'll be really excited about this. Today, we make it easier for you to make your quota.
I think in the modern world, you should be skipping even good morning and thanks for coming. These words, these sentences can come later. You set the theme in the beginning. Make your listeners curious.
That's the headline. Easier to make quota. It's memorable, and it sets the direction for.
Or perhaps you can add one more thing. If you don't know how to set the theme even, you can make a big promise. So after my presentation today, I promise you, you are going to learn a lot of important things. Big promise.
It gives your audience a reason to listen.
So I've got 4 things I'd like to talk about with you today.
Provide the outline, good way of structuring. I've got 1 thing to say, or 2 things to say, or 3 things, or 4 things. Now it depends on the time you have been given for the presentation. Here, Steve Jobs has just said, I've got 4 things to share with you today.
So let's get started.
Steve Jobs always provides an outline for his presentation and then verbally opens and closes each section with a clear transition.
That's very important, verbally opening and closing each section. However, people just do it differently. They simply talk about first thing, tuck, 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 and immediately they jump to the second point. Never ever do that. Open and close each section and take care of your transition. Build the gap, build the bridge between your one point and another.
Transition in between. Here's an example.
So that's Time Capsule, a perfect companion to Leopard, and that's the first thing I wanted to share with you this morning.
You see how he has closed the section? That's the first thing I wanted to discuss with you today.
Morning.
The point is, make it easy for your listeners to follow your story.
That's super important because you're talking to human brains, and human brains are distracted brains these days. So you need to make it really easy for your listeners to follow your story, to follow your presentation. Just remember, you're talking to their brains and they're looking for the reasons. Each and every second, they're looking for the reasons why they shouldn't be listening to you.
Outline will serve as guideposts along the way. You'll also notice that during his presentations, Jobs uses words like extraordinary, amazing, and cool. He is passionate, enthusiastic, and it shows.
Incredible, unbelievable, amazing, awesome, extraordinary year for Apple.
Enthusiasm is contagious. If you are not enthusiastic about your talk, your listeners, they're never going to be.
You know, your audience wants to be wowed, not put to sleep. Too many people fall into this presentation mode. It's stiff, it's formal, it lacks pizzazz. We, your listeners, are giving you permission to have fun and to be excited about your company.
But we do it wrong. Your listeners, they are giving you a freedom to have fun, to inspire us, right? It's your job to inspire us as a presenter. What are you doing, man? But being a presenter, we are focused on ourselves. Are we looking all right? Oh my God, I've got this anxiety. Oh my God, I'm having this spine-chilling sensations. Come on, focus on your audience. Focus on one thing. How can you inspire them? How can you share something interesting? How can you inform them? Because that's what they are thinking. They are not concerned about your anxiety or you're trembling or you're sweating or even if you have spine-chilling sensation. They are not concerned about it. They are simply concerned about one thing. What's in it for me?
Your company, your product, or your service. If you're not passionate about it, we're not going to be.
Right. You know, since we trained so many people, we have trained thousands of people for the same. And when people come on the stage, when they start delivering their presentations, they're boring. And remember, boredom is the biggest presentation killer. Nobody, the most intelligent person on this planet, he or she even doesn't want to get bored.
Remember, Jobs isn't selling hardware. He's selling an experience.
Right.
If you offer numbers and statistics,
Make them meaningful. Right.
We have sold 4 million iPhones to date. If you divide 4 million by 200 days, that's 20,000 iPhones every day on average.
Numbers don't.
This is highly important in all those technical presentations where you're presenting a lot of data, numbers, use parallel examples, analogies, similes, metaphors.
Numbers don't mean much unless they're placed in context.
Right.
Managers, connect the dots for your listeners. Recently, I worked with a company that launched a 12-gigabyte memory card. 12 gigabytes! That number doesn't mean much to most people, so we put it into context. We said that's enough memory to listen to your music while traveling to the moon and back. Now, 12 gigs means something to me.
That means something.
Make numbers meaningful.
Right, Carmine.
One of the most effective elements of a Steve Jobs presentation is that they are easy on the eyes. His presentations are visual and simple.
Another mistake by so many people, as he has just said, he has rightly said that Steve Jobs presentations, they were always easy on the eyes. On the other hand, most of the people create these boring slides with plethora of information, a lot of data, and people get bored, they get confused whether to listen to the presenter or look at the slides. Never ever make that mistake again.
Simple.
Make your presentations
While most
visual.
speakers fill their slides with mind-numbing data and text and charts, Jobs does just the opposite. He uses very little text and usually one, maybe two images per slide. You see, you want to paint
and the big fonts. Beautiful images on his slides and the big fonts.
For your audience without overwhelming them. Inspiring presentations are short on bullet points and big on visuals.
Right.
If you really want your presentation to pop, treat it like a show with ebbs and flows, themes, and transitions.
I would say that treat it like a movie, and you are a movie maker. You are basically a script writer, movie maker, and an actor. So this is a movie, and your movie has to be interesting with different scenes and clear structure.
Themes and transitions. Jobs includes video clips, demonstrations, and guests. He also has a knack for dramatic flair, and it's very effective. For example, when introducing the MacBook Air, Jobs drew cheers by opening a manila interoffice envelope and holding the laptop out for everyone to see.
That's super cool. How Steve Jobs is basically displaying the MacBook. He takes it out from the envelope. That's super cool.
Everyone to see.
Give them a show.
This is the new MacBook Air, and you can get a feel for how thin it is.
What is the one memorable moment of your presentation? Identify it ahead of time, then build up to it.
With a little help from our friends, everything will work today.
And finally, rehearse,
and rehearse
some more.
Let me show you how easy that is now.
Steve Jobs makes it look easy because he spends hours rehearsing.
Absolutely. Rehearse, rehearse, and rehearse. Remember, champions are not made inside the ring. They are made outside the ring.
He cannot pull off an intricate presentation with video clips and demonstrations and outside speakers without practice. The result, a presentation that is perfectly synchronized and looks, yes, effortless. Now, the average business person does not have the resources to create a Steve Jobs extravaganza, but you do have time to rehearse. The greatest presenters do it, and so should you. Oh, and one more thing. At the end of most presentations, Jobs...
That's what Steve Jobs did often. At the end of the presentations, he always would say, oh, I've got one last thing. Now, your listeners, oh my God, one more bonus. If the presentation is interesting, you can say one last thing. Otherwise, your listeners, they're thinking, oh my God, can he just go off the stage? Please, don't let them think that way. Prepare your presentations and deliver them the way these presentations should be delivered. As I said in the beginning of the video, millions of presentations are delivered every day, and most of them are boring, mundane, they lack pizzazz. Make them interesting. Give your presentations a good start. Big fonts, big images. If you have got a lot of data, a plethora of information, make this data and numbers meaningful. And remember, transition is a key. Jumping from one point to another is crucial. So open and close each section carefully. Stop focusing on yourself, your audience. That's where your focus should be. Focus on sharing experience, sharing a crucial information. Focus on sharing something super interesting. Even if you're anxious, your audience, your listeners, they are giving you a permission. Okay, share something interesting. So do share. Should you have more questions about your presentation, ask me in the comment section, right? And I've shared these videos. If you want to watch these videos of Steve Jobs, you can find the link in the description. Goodbye.